First of all, both of your expertise in guiding business through digital transformation with cutting-edge Microsoft technologies makes both of you invaluable resources for our listeners. So I'm very excited for the episode.
So, one of the biggest assets that businesses have these days is their data. And to be able to leverage that data and drive some insights out of that to make insightful decisions for a business owner is what can ultimately make or break the business.
Are you looking to streamline your operations and drive innovation?
My advice to companies that are hesitant to moving to the cloud is that they do it sooner rather than later. And what they essentially need to understand is that not having cloud as part of your strategy at all is putting them at massive risk of being outdated, of being left behind, of not being able to adapt to new technologies.
I think the industry, to some extent, of course, there's always going to be the need for everything that we're currently doing and more.
Hi, this is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast, where we explore the latest strategies and technologies driving digital transformation in small and medium sized enterprises. Digital transformation is crucial for Canadian businesses to remain competitive. Recent studies indicate that SMEs adopting cloud based solutions and AI technologies experience significant improvements in operational efficiency and customer engagement. Joining us today are Usman Jhangiri, CEO, and Tuba Zafar, COO of Prismware Technologies. Prismware specializes in digital transformation, consulting, leveraging Microsoft technologies like Dynamics 365, Power Platform, Azure, and AI. The expertise empowers businesses to streamline operations and drive innovation. Through their tailored consulting services, they've helped clients save hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars, proving the real world impact of smart digital transformation. Today, we'll discuss harnessing AI and Microsoft technologies for digital transformation in SMEs, best practices for implementing Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, and leveraging data analytics and AI to drive business innovation. We'll also hear about Prismware's recent achievements and upcoming training programs. So let's get started. First of all, Usman and Tuba, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Kripa. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
Of course, it's our pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us here, Kripa.
Great. Now, first of all, both of your expertise in guiding business through digital transformation with cutting edge Microsoft technologies makes both of you invaluable resources for our listeners. So I'm very excited for the episode. Now let's begin with the challenges, right? Because everyone faces them and everyone's going to relate to them. So Usman, what do you think are some common challenges businesses face, especially when adopting something new, right? New technology solutions, and how can they address this effectively?
I totally get that, Kripa. And you know what? One of the biggest challenges that we see in the industry right now is actually not the technology, it's not the tools, it's not the people, it's actually the rate of change of technology.
Hmm.
And to be able to keep up with that rate of change is something that we feel is one of the most important things that a business needs to address as quickly as possible if they're not doing it already. The key here is to have the tool set in place to be able to make an impact, to be able to, well, making an impact is one thing, but to be able to analyze, hey, this is coming out. How is it going to impact our business? How are we going to leverage it?
Right.
How are we going to use it? To be able to have that sense, that insight, and the ability to adopt that new change in technology as and how it's coming out. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that businesses are facing
Yeah.
today. And the ability to address that in any business is going to essentially make or break that business going forward.
Of course, very well answered. That's a critical point as well. I think understanding and mitigating these challenges it's essential for successful technology adoption. And I also agree with how it should be customized to your own personal needs, right? So we'll talk more about that. Let's shift to practical examples. So Tuba, could you share some examples on top of your mind of how Microsoft technologies like Dynamics 365, Power Platform, and Azure have positively impacted businesses operations and growth? We'd love to hear some success stories.
Absolutely, Kripa. So, one of the biggest assets that businesses have these days is their data. And to be able to leverage that data and drive some insights out of that to make insightful decisions for a business owner is what can ultimately make or break the business. And so, as an example, we can talk about the manufacturing industry. There are multiple warehouses and there's assembly lines that a business is dealing with. And so, you can't really be, as a business owner, you can't really be in all places at the same time.
Of course.
And so that's where you can leverage AI. AI can do that work for you in terms of either, let's say, if even you're on the monitoring side, so we can have vision cameras that are monitoring the assembly lines. We can have warehouses, scanners over there to determine what inventory is already in, where are we lacking exactly. So it identifies all of the bottlenecks, what exactly we can take away from it. And so historically, AI, what AI was doing historically was it was giving us insights into saying, okay, this is a business process, here's something that's wrong. Now what AI is doing is it's not only identifying what's going wrong, it's also describing all of the dependencies, all of the bottlenecks. It's providing you a summary of what needs to be
A
improved.
360-degree perspective.
Exactly. And then at the end of the day, it also is able to take those actions in place of you. So it's a complete solution, not only from identifying, but also the ability to resolve the solution, resolve in real time, instead of it having to come back to you. And again, all of these touch points are communicating with each other in real time. So, which again, we're not saying that AI is going to take away all the jobs, but at the end of the day, it is a complement to what humans are already doing, and taking it just to the next level.
I think I'll agree with you. It's the combination of human with AI that is going to make a lot of difference in every industry. And those were some compelling examples as well. I think demonstrating tangible benefits can ease the transition to new technologies. That brings me to the next question. And be as candid with your answer as you want, right? What advice would you give to companies who are hesitant about moving from, legacy systems to modern cloud-based platforms like Azure?
Kripa, my advice to companies that are hesitant to moving to the cloud is that they do it sooner rather than later.
Right.
And what they essentially need to understand is that not having cloud as part of your strategy at all is putting them at massive risk of being outdated, of being left behind, of not being able to adapt to new technologies. If a business chooses not to go into the cloud completely, what they should have in place is at least a hybrid strategy.
Right.
And what that means is that you have a part of your business operations on prem where servers and local data centers are managing whatever your business activities
Right.
are, but you still have a portion of it in the cloud, backups in the cloud, or you're able to connect on prem systems with the cloud and be able to leverage a hybrid strategy going forward. And one of the in the previous question you asked is Dynamics 365 and Azure and Power Platform, how are these assisting? So all of these technologies, so one thing we really need to understand is that Microsoft is aware of all of these challenges that businesses are facing. So they haven't built products that are cloud native, meaning that you can use Azure services with an on-prem system, and Microsoft provides that deep integration for you to be able to leverage your on-prem systems directly inside the cloud. The Power Platform is inherently it is in the cloud, but it's going to connect with all of your on-prem systems as well. So if you're hesitant today to make a transition into the cloud, you're going to have to do it tomorrow.
Right.
Will it be easier to do it tomorrow? Yes, but are you going to take the risk today of being vulnerable, of not being able to adapt to change
Right.
for the tomorrow that's headed your way? That's something you should really consider and make the move as fast as you can.
Very interesting. Hi there, Canadian business leaders. Are you looking to streamline your operations and drive innovation? Remember, Prismware Technologies can help you leverage Microsoft technologies for digital transformation. Now, let's continue our conversation with Usman and Tuba and delve into best practices for implementing Dynamics 365 and Power Platform. All right, we'll be right back with insights and best practices for implementing Dynamics 365 and Power Platform and how these tools are exactly streamlining operations and driving innovation for Canadian businesses. Stay tuned.
Hey, You think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. Still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, we're in the business of you.
We're here to help you plug in,
connect and recharge.
Make an impression,
and meet with confidence.
With 19 brands built for business,
your business gets even more rewarding.
With an award-winning loyalty program at 6,000 IHG hotels and resorts worldwide.
Welcome back. Let's dive into the strategies for successfully implementing Dynamics 365 and Power Platform and explore how businesses can leverage data analytics and AI to gain a competitive edge in today's digital landscape. On this note, I want to ask both of you one question. If we were to give you a time machine right now, where would you go? Past or future? And what would you change?
That's a very interesting question. I think I'll have Tuba answer that first.
Sure, go ahead.
So I have mixed feelings about this. I would go to the past because now I know better. And so if I go to the past, knowing what I know now, I do have the option to implement and leverage the technology that I did not know existed back then. Because at times when if we're at this point in time, we sort of have it in our minds that we know it all. We know where we're headed. And then sometime in the future, you realize that there was, you could have done
a missed opportunity, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There are missed opportunities at all times. So I think going back, I would definitely change the way that we were leveraging technology, because now that we realize it really is a complement to how fast or how efficient you can streamline your businesses and operationalize. So yeah, I would definitely go to the past.
So with the time machine, Kripa, if taxes and death were not certain,
right,
I'd go to the future. But with them being certain, we kind of using, if we had time travel technology, I would go into the past. Okay. But then that again comes with the premise that, hey, knowing what I know now, what am I going to be able to change in my past to be able to have better future outcomes? So essentially, it's all about the future. But unfortunately, it's always going to end up on decisions you've taken in the past that are going to determine where you end up in the future. So
it's the same answer for both of you. Both of you would like to go to past and improve on what the things that you did and get a better future.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Interesting. I'd also want our listeners to, learn from your entrepreneurial journey. So why don't you tell us where did this business idea come from? Is it something that you always wanted to do? Or because a lot of business is risk taking, right? A lot of people prefer jobs because it's much more secure, much more safer. Why business and why Prismware Technologies?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was immediately after I graduated, I landed, so me and Tuba, we were both working for this big company. It's called S&P Global. Mm-hmm. They manage the S&P 500 index. A lot of people are aware of what that is. And I was working in this company. My role at S&P Global was an associate in the investor relations team. And as part of the IR team, one of the core things that I learned was the ability to interact directly with C-level executives. Mm-hmm. And so we were working with companies like Motorola and Bank of America and within that corporate space.
Right.
And secondly, internally in the business, what I observed was anything that gets overly technical was not dealt by our team. It was outsourced to different vendors and different providers.
Okay.
most of those vendors came out of our neighboring countries.
Right.
And so that really just sparked that interest in me that, hey, why is and if I'm a you know if you can layer in names, one of the companies that was assisting us was Wipro.
Okay.
And Wipro is, and I did my research on Wipro, and I was like, West Indian Palm Refined Oils Limited.
Right.
And I was like, wait a second, Palm Refined Oils Limited? Are they in the technology space helping a Fortune 500 company manage their technology? Is
Right.
this for real? And so I dug a little bit more inside Wipro, and
Yeah.
I found out that Wipro was an oil trading company.
Right.
But then when the son of the owner took over, he moved the focus to technology, and they just never looked back. And right now they're one of the biggest technology service providers in the world.
Right.
And that just sparked in me so much
That was
that I said
inspiration.
yes. And I was like, man, I am going to quit this job
Right.
and we are going to do IT services. And then that IT services transformed into our partnership with Microsoft. And then from there, we've been in the Microsoft ecosystem.
A very interesting journey, and kudos and congratulations to where you've come. If there's one thing that biggest challenge that came your way throughout these years of business, what would it be? Was it the operational part or dealing with clients?
Actually, one of the biggest challenges in the IT space is that there are just so many providers out there, and IT services has become this like one industry that looks like it has a very low barrier to entry, that anyone can just step up and start doing IT services. But the fact of the matter is that's not really where the value lies. You can stand up and say, hey, business owner, you tell me what to do and I'll get it done for you.
Right.
But really, when you do that, you're putting a lot of things at risk. Why? Because you are following what the business owner's wants and wishes are. And all those wants and wishes never really translate into the productive outcomes that they're looking for.
Right.
And so, one of the core things that we focused on is figuring out what that process is going to be from start to management, because it's never a start to finish with technology. If we finish with technology, that means
It's the end of the
there's no
world.
advancement
Exactly.
going on.
Yeah.
So the process that we've had to develop over time and the business insight that we need to incorporate into our process, which allows us to ask the right questions,
Right.
bring up the right topics of discussion, help you follow a process to implement technology, and allow us to be the devil's advocate and bring up ideas for you that you can jog your
Implement.
brain on,
Right.
and implement the core processes that are really going to drive your business forward. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we address.
Again, very well articulated. Tuba, I'd like to ask you, where do you see this IT industry going in the next, say, decade or 20 years? What's your vision?
I think a decade is a really, really long time with the pace at which things are developing and changing these days.
Maybe next year I should ask you, right? Where do you see it going next year?
Absolutely. I think the industry, to some extent, of course, there's always going to be the need for everything that we're currently doing and more. So I think it's not just focused on I think AI is one of the biggest roller coasters that the industry has faced over the past decade. And I think it's only going to be more intense in the coming years as well, because AI is changing every single day.
Right.
With Microsoft itself as well, we see, OpenAI, there's so many versions out there for it that's available for every different kind of business that there is. So it really is that I think there's always a bridge, there's always a gap that needs to be bridged. And so the focus is only going to be make it more adaptable and accessible to all of the users that can leverage this technology. So just like I can give you an example with Microsoft, the technology that we focus on, or Microsoft focuses on itself, it's not only for developers anymore. Now technology has shifted in a way that it's now taken away that requirement for you to be an engineer to be able to develop stuff. The low code, no code is now accessible to citizen developers, is what Microsoft calls. So you can be a layman, not have any knowledge of technology, but you can come up with solutions that's going to be beneficial for your specific business. So I can only imagine what the next decade is going to come. I hope skyscrapers, sure, but
Definitely, that's a very promising vision for future. Usman and Tuba, it has been, an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Your insights on digital transformation, Microsoft technologies, and AI have been incredibly valuable. Before we wrap up this episode, if there's one key message or key takeaway from this entire discussion today, what would it be and why?
one of the key message that I'm going to give to my listeners today is to not hold back on investing in technology today. Because if you're not investing in technology today, thinking that, oh, this is going to be costly, then it's actually going to be more costly for your business tomorrow because you're missing out on operationalizing what can be done today and wait for the future in order to do so. Leverage an expert. Do not self-medicate. So that's one of the advices, doctors give. Do not Google. Do not self-medicate your business. Always leverage an expert who's going to guide you through and fill in those gaps and help your business leverage the best out of the technology that's available to us today and keep you evolving with the changing time, because remaining stagnant with this shift in technology that we're facing today is going to be deadly for your business. So that's going to be my advice.
So the key message I have for all of you today is to take action sooner rather than later. I know I've said that before, but my key premise here, in saying that, is to keep exploring what the future holds for you. Keep exploring vendors. Actually, technology is always going to be an investment for you. And whether you choose to do that investment internally, build up team and staff in-house or externally, you are going to need to partner up with a strong vendor of technology services. And the core thing behind that is that who is going to put in the money to do the research, expand on, look at the future, and then turn it into reality and give you something you can use as a tool in your business. Going with Microsoft ensures that they're going to make the investment into the research and all of the background operations that are necessary to bring forward tools that you and your teams can use. Power BI, Power Apps, these tools literally just changed the landscape of businesses, where we put the power of visualizing data sets right in the hands of business decision makers. And they've used that tool for the past 10, 12, 15 years now. And right now, with the advent of AI, that analytics or that data visualization just has a completely different meaning. It's no longer a visualization of data, because we humans, we can read data, but we're not designed to interpret data in a very solid fashion. What AI then does is it takes that data and summarizes, recommends, suggests, and all of these things are actually something that are really going to provide the value in your business that you don't see today, but you will see after you make the investment in terms of time, money, and effort into adopting technology, be that from any vendor or any partner. But you do need these resources in your business. And my suggestion is that you take action on adopting technology sooner rather than later.
That's wonderful advice for both of you. And, I'm loving each second of this conversation. I don't want this episode to get over, but due to time constraints, we'll have to cut short. But hopefully, we'll continue the discussion in some other episode. Usman and Tuba, it has been a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today and our listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kripa.
Thank you so much, Kripa.
That was a very insightful conversation with Usman Jhangiri, CEO, and Tuba Zafar, COO of Prismware Technologies, on leveraging Microsoft technologies for digital transformation and driving business innovation with AI. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We really appreciate your continued support. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert insights and resources that can help your business thrive. You can also visit our website, CanadianSME.ca, for more valuable information and tools. A very special thank you to our podcast partners, RBC, UPS, IHG Hotels and Resorts, and Google for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses in Canada. Until next time, keep innovating and striving for success, and we'll see you in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.